I'm Colin Jenkins with School Video News here at OETC 2019. I'm joined with Dr. Justin Aglio. Thank you so much for joining us on set today.
Thank you, Colin.
And I just wanted to start off with, you were giving a presentation on AI. And I think when a lot of people think of AI, they think of robots, the Terminator. How is AI, permeated everyday life, and just what is AI for people that may not know?
Yeah, well, AI is all around us. It's in our pockets, it's in our homes. Every decision, whether you like it or not, is impacted by AI. Whether it's in the hospital, whether it's in your bank, AI is impacting our lives every single day, from preschool kids all the way to senior citizens, and it's growing, and it's going to be the biggest revolution in mankind history, not just in the future, but in the very near future, because machines are getting smarter, they're learning, and for adults, I think a lot of times we think AI, like you said, is kind of these robots are going to come in and take over the world, but for students and kids, it's part of their life. It's like they grew up with it. So for me, it's like a car or television. My grandparents, like television, cars, that's brand new. And I was, but for me, I took it for granted. So I have 3 kids, 11, 9, and 6-year-old, and they talk about AI in their life like it's like, yeah, Dad, it's AI, it's no big deal. But for me, it's like, oh, it's really cool. It's going to be there are going to be jobs and all this stuff. But then, it's an exciting process. But I think, we can do 3 things. We can adapt to it, we can adopt it, we can adapt to it. So I think those 3 levels, no matter what level we are on, if we do one of those 3 things, then I think we can help AI in the future, but in a way that's not just technology, but to help with humanity by creating AI systems that can treat cancer, that can detect Alzheimer's quicker, that can help with stroke patients and so forth. So it's not just in general every day around us, it's actually, we can use AI for a lot more good than hopefully not any bad.
Definitely, and I think building off of that, why is it so important that we start teaching AI to students in the classroom now, as opposed to when they're adults or getting into these fields?
Yeah, so actually last spring, we kind of kicked around this idea of starting the first AI program in the country for elementary, middle school, and high school students. And we started talking about, what is AI? We started, watching these TV commercials about AI. Carnegie Mellon University launched their first undergrad program last spring. Google AI Principles came out last spring. And one day I was watching Double Dare with my kids on Nickelodeon, and one of the questions was, what does AI mean in computer science terms? So my kids on the couch and kids on the show were like, artificial intelligence. So I went back to our school the next day in our middle school and I said, what does AI mean? And kids are telling me what AI means. So then we made a decision, we're going to launch our first AI program in the country. So we're teaching students about autonomous vehicles, we're teaching students about AI coding skills, but AI music and how it's impacted everything. But more importantly, we're teaching every student, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, AI ethics with MIT. So when we're teaching AI, if AI is not made for all people, then AI should not be made for anyone, is what we're trying to teach right now.
Definitely, and you talk about some methods that you have adapted at your school.
Yes.
To teach AI. How can educators elsewhere around the country adapt similar methods to help teach AI to their kids?
I think first it starts a mindset to know that AI is around us, it's relevant to kids, but I also think that educators have to realize there's free resources out there, and it is helpful, and AI is actually used more to create more meaningful relationships, because you can take out all the analytics and data, and it can help teachers gain a more personal relationships with students using simple means of relationship building within the classroom.
Definitely, and in your presentation, you give specific examples of how AI has been able to transform an educational culture and help, engage students in learning. Can you give some more examples of that, how that can be done and how educators are starting to do that?
Yeah, I think just the simple fact that we're talking about it, and I think people have this conception, especially educators, that artificial intelligence is like this big thing. When we talk to educators, it's like, think about artificial means what? Think about artificial sweetener. It's fake, it's man-made, so that's intelligence. That's artificial. Then you think about intelligence. What's intelligence? Smart. So we just tell people it's not that complicated. It's smart, man-made things that make decisions. So that's basically the thing. And we tell people all the time, we use it in Google Home, Siri, all these devices, Alexa. So why not get into it underneath the hood a little bit and see how we can do these things? And so I think the more you talk about it with educators, the more they're exposed to artificial intelligence, but the more they see how kids are easily adaptable to learning AI, not just showing the AI, but actually having students program their own thing. I think it's just going back to what you're comfortable with. Now, in 10 years from now, it could be something else. 10 years ago, it was the internet. We had this discussion around then. So I think the more open mindset we are about how learning is relevant to kids, whether it's AI or anything else, really, can make it a lot easier for educators and have that growth mindset and not that fixed mindset we hear about all the time.
Definitely, I agree with you. And you talk about that exposure of AI and that exposure of the topic. How would you say conferences like OETC help bring in collaborators and innovators and educators and help expose them to ideas like AI so they can take that back to their classrooms?
My goodness, when I found out that OETC had an AI focus this year, I jumped through the roof. And just for the simple fact that nobody's really talking about it. And now that there's a focus on AI and learning, not just using adaptable machines, but actually teaching students and educators about AI, again, going back to that thing where we can pretend it's not there, but we know it's there and we're exposing it, we're adapting, we're adopting, and we're adapting to it. I think those things that I really enjoyed OETC bringing to light and making this a focus to help educators understand it, because it's 2019 and 3 years from now the top jobs are predicted to be around AI machine learning. Those are sophomores in high school right now. So if we're not teaching AI machine learning and analytics, how are we preparing kids to get jobs in the future around AI and machine learning and analytics?
I agree with you on that. And technology has already changed how our methods of education, have been altered, whether it be more discussions around AI or some of the other topics at OETC. And I would want to ask, and I think you touched on this, but kind of in a broader sense, how do you see technology changing for the future, the culture of learning and the culture of classrooms across the United States?
Yeah, so I want you to think about this for a minute. You have a teacher, she has smart glasses on her heads. Kids are learning artificial intelligence, learning solutions on their computer. Above those kids, you see emoji signs above every kid in the classroom. The teacher could put her finger and tap on all the emoji signs to see the problem that the kids are working on and the problems they're struggling with. She, at the same time, is collecting all this data on her computer. It's using analytics to help with small groups, large groups, or whole classrooms. All this is going on in the classroom and through augmented reality, through artificial intelligence learning solutions. Well, that stuff right there, that's not the future of education. That stuff's happening right now in our middle school, where teachers are having this technology to them, again, to make learning more relevant and more relationships. But if nobody knows that stuff's out there, then how are they going to learn it? So conferences like OETC that bring the greatest and latest in technologies innovation to hands of educators, technology experts, together in one spot to teach us fundamentals in artificial intelligence can really change the world.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us on set today.
You.
I appreciate it.
This is so much fun. Thank you.
I'm Colin Jenkins with School Video News here at OETC 2019 with Dr. Justin Aglio. Thank you for tuning in.